Where my girls at? Where my girls at? Independent, free spirit. Ooh, it's something serious. Where my girls at? We ain't linked up in a cool minute. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. Where my girls at? It's going down, down. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right. It's going down tonight. We going out tonight. Yeah, right. We going out tonight. It's going down tonight. Yeah, right.
Damn. Hello. Welcome to We Got Issues. We are so excited you are in the house today. It is your girl, Caterina Harris Earl, coming to you from a dreary, looks like fall is all up in here, Brentwood, California. And my girlfriend, Lady Crisette Ellis, is looking fierce and fabulous in her her new home in Detroit. Chris, are you in Detroit or another suburb?
Now, North Michigan.
Northville, Michigan. Okay. All my girlfriends have fancy cities they live in. We are missing Gloria Mayfield Banks from Ellicott City, Maryland. Okay. And my girl, Sabrina Goodwin Monday is at Geneva on the Lake. I got to say it right. So those are some fancy names. What'd you say, Chris?
I call it Geneva. I just call it Geneva. What do I always say? Geneva at the lake. It's on the lake. Excuse me.
On the lake. At the lake, everything. I'm the only one. Me and Gloria got one city. So, anyways, today is going to be another great episode of We Got Issues. We thank you for tuning in, and it's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. I mean, I don't know. Have y'all done some Christmas shopping? We want to hear from the Facebook audience. We want to hear from our radio audience. Those of you that are listening in on iHeart Radio. Today is going to be a really, really hot show with another fan favorite. We have my friend, Lawrence Ross, author and just amazing thought leader. He is going to rock your world as we talk about being intentional with diversity, economic diversity. This is going to be a great conversation. And before we bring him in, we always talk about what is hot and happening in our lives, in the world, and just on our minds. So Sabrina, I'm passing it to you. Sabrina, how are you?
You know, it's Monday motivation. Every day is Monday. I'm always excited about Mondays, our most favorite day of the week. It's been a whirlwind. When I tell you from one Zoom to another, but I was determined because you guys are giving me information. I got to the gym today for the first time in a long time. Yeah. Got to the gym and that felt really good. And you know what? I left my phone unintentionally at home. And I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to take those 2 hours 3 to 4 times a week and leave my phone. I felt so good coming back. I was like, you know what? I was feeling bogged down 24/7, tapped in, got to answer an email, got to post something. I just said, forget about it. And I felt free when I got back. I felt better because it was a self-care 2 hours, got some things done. And so I'm feeling like this Monday is on track. But I do know we have to build in that time. Lots going on in the news. How about New York City? All private sector folks must be vaccinated to go to work. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, huge. 3 to 11-year-olds. To eat and dine in a restaurant, you must have at least one shot. They're not playing with
in New York City. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
And to get into the US, to fly into the US from another country, 24 hours, you must have a negative COVID test. Cases are climbing, and I'm glad USA is getting a handle on this thing, saying if we don't do something and do something major, you know, we're going to be right back to where we were. And so I'm glad to see that those great disciplines are being put into place. So happy Monday. Yay. Hey, Lady Crisette, how are you? I'm looking at your beautiful decorations. And And tomorrow, the show is going to be on Bah Humbug. How do you decorate when you're really not in the mood? So I want lots of feedback, lots of people to call in. But Chris, your place is looking amazing. So tell us how you feel.
Lean to the side so we can see that tree and describe it for the Facebook audience. That's a fly tree with the.
You know what?
I mean, describe it for the
a couple
radio
years
audience.
ago, I saw, they were really doing some interesting things with trees. And I saw, at somebody's house, they were using these busts of women and making them into Christmas trees. And I thought, oh my goodness, that is so nice. And it would look so nice in the front of a window. So I was out, my store, Sabrina, your store. I think, Caterina, you shop at Home Goods, found her. And I grabbed her quick, fast, in a hurry. And now she is one of the staple pieces at our house during the holiday season, Christmas. And so, yes, she's looking really cute back there. But you guys, today we have what they call a squall, Squall, I think is how you spell it. And I'm surprised, Sabrina, maybe you didn't get one there in Ohio. But when I tell you, I looked out and it looked like a blizzard. I mean, the wind was blowing, the snow was coming. And I was like, I would have hated to be caught in the on the expressway or in the streets during that time. So, that was really, really interesting. I haven't seen one of those in a while. But you guys, a couple of things that I saw today that I wanted to bring up. First of all, we're getting ready to take our Christmas pictures and excited about that. Going to do it on Saturday. And this year we got an addition. Going to have my daughter-in-law, Angelica, is going to be in the picture for the first time. So that's really exciting. And I know, Sabrina, you know what, when it comes to the pictures, we try to keep up with the Mondays. When the Mondays will send out their pictures, like, we got to up our game. Got to up our game. And so we're excited about those. But you guys, did you all see, talking about Christmas picture, the picture that Congressman Thomas Massey out of Kentucky posted with his family? He, his wife, and their children all sitting around the Christmas tree with these big old guns, okay? And the caption was, Merry Christmas, Santa, please bring ammo. And how insensitive for him to post that 4 days after that shooting in Oxford. And they're all sitting, and I don't know what kind of guns. They look like AK, 47, 37, whatever you call them. I'm talking about you could look at these guns and it looked like something you would see in a shooting in a drive-by movie. And so I just said to myself, Kentucky, this is a congressman. You would think he would be a little bit more sensitive to post something like that. Of course, he is pro-gun. And okay, you could be pro-guns, but sometimes you just got to be tasteful. There's something to be said about being tasteful. So I thought about that, as I thought about, my family getting ready to take pictures. I saw that and I was like, you know what? That right there,
ridiculous.
Left a bad taste in my mouth. And then the last thing, you guys, this is something, and I'm sure we definitely have to do a show on the Brazilian butt lift. The Brazilian butt lift. I promise you. Did you know that is the most popular form of plastic surgery right now? At one point, of course, it was the breast implants. Now it's the Brazilian butt lift. But this is the thing, you guys. It is the deadliest plastic surgery that you can have. And you know what? I don't know. I kind of feel some kind of way. I remember back in the day as Black women, we got talked about, ooh, look at them with those big old butts, big old booties. Said a whole lot about Black women. And now they're paying, that surgery costs somewhere upwards of anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, depending on where you go to get it. But so many women, seriously, are dying from those big old butts. I mean, it's really sad. It's really sad that, women feel the need to, and I mean, that's just a show in and of itself, to do something like that. This one lady they were showing, she wanted to have a butt like Kim Kardashian. So anyway, those were the two
Where
things.
did she get hers from? You talk about intentional diversity, okay? Folks trying to diversify their butt look like a sister.
Okay.
For real. That is definitely a show, Chris. So we want to know in our radio audience, our social media audience, we would love someone to come on the show who maybe had it and it went well, didn't go well. Someone who I follow right now who has a huge lawsuit taking place, and she has over 1 million followers on social media, and she has put her person on blast. Chris, we hear you with Daddy. Okay, so we are. Chris, go ahead and mute when you get a chance. We're going to go ahead and bring our guest in, who really can talk about all things. I know you got something to say about the butt lift. I know you got something to say about the congressman. I know you can talk about it all. Welcome again, Lawrence Ross to We Got Issues. Woo, woo, woo. Many of you will remember the last show that we had Lawrence host. He is a graduate of UC Berkeley. He is initiated into Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity. His Instagram is at Alpha 1906. So that's how long you've been Alpha, okay? To the point, really, that's how long you've been on social media that you got it first. And bachelor's degree in history, super smart, a master in fine arts, UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television. I just watched the Netflix show series on Kaepernick, and he was giving his film, dissecting it from the film perspective. His first book is The Divine Nine, The History of African American Fraternities and Sororities, and his seventh book, Blackballed, The Black and White Politics of Race in America. He has lectured at over 300 colleges and universities, and today we are talking about being intentional with economic diversity. So you know how the girls talk. Lawrence and I have been friends back from back from college, and would always be around the girls. We jaw jack. So you got 3 minutes just before we take our first break to just update us. How you doing? What's happening? Just bring us up to date, and then we're going to dig deep when we come back from the break. Hello, Lawrence Ross. Welcome back to We Got Issues.
Hi. How y'all doing? I'm very happy to be back. This was an enjoyable conversation before. So one of the things we're doing fantastic. I'm, one of the partners along with my fraternity brothers for the Metaphor Club. We're the largest Black-owned creative co-working space in LA. So we've been basically watching how we get out of this post-pandemic kind of world, and it's been kind of interesting. It's been kind of interesting in terms of how businesses, in particular, like how Black businesses have been navigating this world. One of the things that I know we have a break coming up, but one thing I always want to tell people is that throughout the pandemic, 90% of our members kept paying through the pandemic. And so don't ever tell me that Black folks don't support other Black folks. They did it without being able to get a chance to actually come into our space. So today I wanted to talk a little bit more about what I call intentional economic diversity and kind of moving the conversation forward from how we normally talk about Black business and how we do it even within social media. A lot of times with social media, we're still dealing with a kind of a 20th century mindset for a 21st century problem in terms of empowering not just the Black community, but communities that are kind of allies to all of us.
I love it. I can't wait to dig deep and talk about it. Lawrence, we still have a couple minutes. Tell us more about the Metaphor Club specifically and exactly what it is in LA. I can't wait to visit myself when I come to LA.
So you know me, I've owned a business ever since Berkeley. I began by making sweetheart dinners for my frat brothers who couldn't cook when they went on dates. And then that began a catering service. And I actually went to Mark Lamont Hill's cafe in Philadelphia called Uncle Bobby's Cafe. Loved it. Beautiful cafe. And I said, there needs to be a space out here in Los Angeles that was a little bit like the same. So I got with 3 other of my fraternity brothers, and we were like, let's go find a space on Crenshaw, right in the heart of where we grew up. And let's create a space where people can be members for a reasonable amount of money, not one of those $500 a month type of deals, and create a community space. And we found a space that had been closed for 5 years. We gutted it out. It took about 6 or 7 months to, really do it. And we've been open for 3 years. We brought everyone in from Jamel Hill to Walter Mosley. We shrink access and privilege. So it's not just a co-working space, it's a community space.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It needs to be duplicated in every major city and then the small cities all over the country. So you got Lawrence Ross here with Sabrina Goodwin Monday and Crisette Ellis. Our girl, Gloria Mayfield Banks, will be back soon, but she is out today for an excused absence. We'll be right back from the break in just a few minutes.
Guys, I'm getting feedback.
We are back. We are back. We are back. We are back with author and friend Lawrence Ross. I think I am here. I think I'm here. You got me? You got me? You got me? Uh-oh. 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 You can't hear me. Okay. You can't hear me. Can you hear me now? 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 Can you hear me now?
All right, we're coming back.
Can you hear me now?
Coming back off of the break, having a little no problems with our girl, Caterina Harris Earl. We know she's going to get it together in just a few minutes. We are talking to her friend, Lawrence Ross. We're excited to have him on the show on today. So, Lawrence, go ahead and continue what you were saying prior to taking the break.
Yeah. So one of the things that I was kind of thinking about during the pandemic was there were a lot of different initiatives, talking about Black business, because about 40% of Black businesses died during the pandemic. And so everyone was kind of racing to recognize that we were seeing very tenuous businesses actually fall off a cliff. And you would see big platforms like Yelp and all the rest decide that they were going to Etsy and the like. They decided they would do symbolic things like saying, oh, here are Black businesses that you could support. These are the places that you could go to in order to spend your money. And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about why are we basically on platforms where we have to kind of rely upon someone to point us out? And why don't we have platforms where we can actually be the center of, you know, the actual identity that we want to support. And also what happens oftentimes is that we like to throw out, for example, the numbers about Black spending power. You know, this has been going on for 20, 30, 40 years, where we'll say, hey, you know, Black people spend $1.7 trillion. All of that is fantastic, but it doesn't really, you know, do anything unless you have an efficient place for people to actually be there, to be able to spend. And so I did a whole bunch of research and I tried to figure out, you know, I'm a person who's like, okay, here's a problem, but I'm not just going to talk about the problem. Even though as a writer, that's kind of like your normal thing. I'm going to write about the problem, but I decided I'm going to create a platform. And I just launched a platform called 365 Ally. And the whole idea of 365ally.com was that you should be able to shop by identity. So, for example, instead of us having an IG post where we list out all the Black women owned businesses and then we forget about where they are, you should be able to go to a platform where you can literally search for Black women owned accountants or a Black women owned doctors and the like. To give you a story, my wife, who Caterina, by the way, introduced us together. My wife, every time she changes doctors, will go down the list of doctors and looking for a name that she thinks is a Black name. And then she will, if she can't find that, she'll just go to find a woman. And if you're a woman of color, and if she can't find that, she'll just find a woman. And I thought that it should be something intentional, that a person who is a vendor, who's a doctor or dentist, or someone who sells scarves, they should be able to identify themselves so a person could be able to say, I want to buy scarves from a Black woman. Here are all the Black women who sell scarves. And so that is kind of the experiment that I'm doing right now. And it's been very successful. Now it's going to be kind of in 2020, it's going to be, you know, as I gather more vendors, be more successful. But it's really part of a 21st century look at what it means to really tap into your power economically. We want to buy Black business. I will promise you, no one loves Black business more than me. I joked that my mother, when I was 10 years old, used to introduce me to her friends as her Black child. True story. So, and at 13 years old, I kept a track of how much money I spent at Black businesses. So no one can tell me about Black business. But it's also important for us to recognize that when we talk about business, we also want to expand our business to Latinx businesses, Asian Pacific Islander businesses, indigenous businesses, women-owned businesses, disabled businesses, all the businesses that are growing too. The Latino community's businesses is growing to close to $2 trillion. The Asian American businesses is rising. So we want to have a business where we get that money too, and you know, it's an exchange of money because our money tends to go.
Lawrence, this is so. I mean, this is so. I'm sure the girlfriends would agree, but me moving to Chicago, I can't tell you how hard it was for me to find. Because you go in and you put just a hairstylist, okay? We know very specifically that a sister needs a hairstylist that specializes in Black hair. But when I would go in and try to put that in Instagram or put that in a website, which how many Black hairstylists don't even have a website, it was difficult. I only could find it by going around asking Black women, and we love referrals, but this is so needed. It is so needed. We have a caller, and I thank the radio audience for being patient with me. Thank you, Chris, for jumping on in when the tech girl got tech issues. So we are going to go to Lisa. We have a guest, Lisa. We hope you're still on hold. Thank you for calling in to We Got Issues. What's your question or comment for us or our guest, Lawrence Ross?
Yes, good evening, praise the Lord, everyone. Can I comment on what he talked about, or just about that one family picture, or the shooting in Michigan, or the whatever you got? Whatever you got, we appreciate you for calling in because I know you've been on hold for a while. Yeah, and guess what? Lawrence can respond on it all too. Okay, go ahead. Talk about the COVID. I think it's very important that since the numbers are going up again, and we're approaching another holiday, that we take all the precautions we can. If we haven't got all our vaccines, get a vaccination, including the flu vaccination. Those of age get the shingles and the pneumonia, and then when it's time for the booster, get the booster. Wear your mask. Practice wash your hands even more. Safe distancing, and limit it to close family members. And if you go to gatherings or out in public somewhere, definitely wear a mask to get this to get the numbers down again, and definitely keep praying and ask the Lord to send this satanic COVID Delta, the new one, to the pit, so we can get back to normal again and function and feel free and not afraid. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for calling, and I appreciate you. And I hope this conversation about us being very intentional with where we spend our dollar, that makes a difference, because we want to be sure that we're spending it with Black businesses. We want to be sure we're spending it with businesses that are responsible and are making a difference. We appreciate your perspective, Lisa, and thanks for what you added to the conversation today. Thank you. I'm going to go back and thank you. I'm going to go back and throw it to the girlfriends. Sabrina, go ahead and jump on in the conversation.
Lawrence, thank you so much. We always love when you come on, always add such great value to our show. Being a product of Tulsa, Oklahoma, the original Black Wall Street, my great-grandfather was the youngest entrepreneur on Black Wall Street at 21 years old, had a haberdashery. And so we're thrilled that in Atlanta, GA, there is the new Black Wall Street in Stonecrest, Georgia. And so the new Black Wall Street market, located in Stonecrest, is a destination for family fun, entertainment, retail, gourmet grocery shopping, and fine dining. Set among beautifully curated common spaces, there are 100 plus shops and restaurants located inside this new, exciting development. And so what you're talking about is what they're doing. I think we duplicate that over and over again in communities all over our country. Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think I would talk about good ideas don't happen in a vacuum. And I think what happens is that when we recognize that we're basically trying to make it easier for people to make shopping easier within our different communities. I think the difference between 365ally.com and like the new Black Wall Street is that mine is much more broad, in that I look at it from the standpoint of, I look at it from everyone has multiple identities and multiple identities about why people make decisions to shop. So why I decide, for example, I would, maybe I'm not looking for, let's say, Black disabled, this. But a person who is disabled may be looking for veterans who are disabled and be able to support those. But it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the platform. What we're really more looking at is saying that we can take things, say, for example, that were in the past. Oklahoma, which was, of course, one of the places where you have a lot of exodusters and you had a lot of black towns like in Boley, Oklahoma, and the like, were places where you have Black economic spaces. But it also recognizes that, the 20th century also had limitations based upon those spaces. I'm from South Central Los Angeles, and there was a reason why those spaces thrive, but there was also a reason why they couldn't expand. And my idea is that all of us have products, or all of us as goods and services that are appealing not only to the Black community, but they're appealing to everyone. And everyone could be an ally to us in the exact same way we all just sign up for Prime on Amazon and get that thing just like that. And we don't think about the fact that we're making Jeff Bezos, a billionaire that he can fly a rocket into space. It's more important for us to think about consciously being intentional 365 days every day. It doesn't require Black History Month. It doesn't require a special occasion. It doesn't require a murder of Black people to suddenly be conscious about the fact that the economic stability of our people is important. And that's what we have to do. We have to make it a habit.
You know what, Lawrence? I am so glad that you're here. I'm so glad that you are talking about this topic, because it is so important. And as Black people, as people of color, we have to be intentional. And sometimes when you're intentional, it is uncomfortable, or it is, and probably the word uncomfortable is not the word I'm looking for, but it will cause you to have to go out of your way to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So I remember my dentist who went to junior high school with my husband. He always says that was his girlfriend. She just didn't know she was his girlfriend. And she is his dentist. And of course, she became my dentist. And she lived, right in the Detroit metropolitan area. And when we lived in Detroit, it took me all of maybe 5 minutes to get to her establishment because that's how close I lived to her. Well, then eventually we moved to the suburbs, which meant that now what was a 5-minute ride became easily a 20 to 25-minute ride. But you know what? This is what I said to myself. I said, yes, could I find another dentist who's closer to where I live now? Or do I want to continue to support this Black dentist who has served our family well and, drive the extra miles to support her? And so I was intentional and said, I am going to continue to support her, even though she doesn't live in the neighborhood or her facility is not, close to my house anymore. So I think we have to be intentional.
Because at the end of the day,
I'm gonna pick you right back up, Lawrence. When we come back from the break, I want businesses to know, how do they get on 365 Ally, and what about businesses that aren't digital? Don't have that digital footprint, because that is essential for people all over the country to be able to find them. So we appreciate you for listening in. We'll be right back after this commercial break. All right, we're back. We are back. Talking about those red bottoms. Guess what? All right. We want to be able to support Black clothing designers, shoe designers, all of that, right? Why don't we create our own fashion frenzy like those red bottoms. We thank you for coming back and listening to us right here on We Got Issues, and Lawrence is breaking it down. So I love everything that you've been sharing, Lawrence. Talk about Black businesses and the importance of their digital footprint. I think we all agree. I know that if you can add anything about stats on how we shifted our buying decisions since COVID. And again, this allows us to be able to put businesses like those, even in that Black Wall Street, they may have something I want to purchase, right? Sitting right here in California. So talk about that.
Yeah, one of the things that I think we have to do is we have to try to get a lot of analog, you could say, Black businesses to get digital. I see this locally, for example, with local vendors here in Los Angeles. Right here in Leimert Park, which is kind of like the center of Black arts, which is where the Metaphor Club is. We have approximately 75, I say, vendors of handcrafts who come every single weekend. And a lot of them are very good at the handcrafts and the things that they're selling, but they're not good about making that transition to digital. And we've got to do that because it's a lot of times our businesses have been hamstrung by the fact that we're experts in the area that we have expertise in. So if your grandmother decides to open up a restaurant, she may make the best dressing in Chicago, but she doesn't really understand the marketing part. And so what happens is that they lose customers basically because hours are not, set at regular times, and people talk badly about those businesses. We have to actually make a concentrated effort to bring those businesses to a space where they can then thrive. It doesn't have to be something to where they are scared about the idea of going into something new. And a lot of times it is scary. It's scary about saying, if I'm selling candles, and I sell a lot of candles every weekend, it's scary to sometimes think about what does it mean about, taking digital currency or shipping and things like that. So one of the things with 365ally.com is that here locally in Los Angeles, I'm conducting workshops with local vendors to go them step by step to take the scared part out of it. And really what happens is that you're going to start to see vendors who are local vendors really recognize that, wait a second, it really is just about really a setup that takes me about 10 or 15 minutes, buying some boxes that may be given to me for free from the USPS, and being able to ship beyond my footprint for a particular, space that you're here locally. And once we're able to do that, then it becomes more empowering to those vendors and they expand their consumer base.
Mm-hmm. I love the website. I love it. It's just one place to go. And what you said, it's not just businesses becoming digital, really breaking down that fear. I remember the joint that's out of business now. That was the best barbecue in my neighborhood without having to drive way to Oakland. You're familiar with that. He only took cash. I mean, he was afraid of taking credit card. And I said, every time I come in here, it's, $50, $60. I'm not, who's carrying cash like that with them all the time. Right. And he was just not willing to accept cash. And so here we are, he's out of business, but the food was, just amazing. Yeah. So that is really good.
And we have to have a little bit of empathy. We have a little bit of empathy because, like I said, he's going to have the best barbecue. But in terms of, it's a little bit how we talk about all the different issues. But we're going to have to figure out how to meet them at a space to say, this is for your benefit. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean going to a place where you're losing money. We want to help you expand and be able to not just be in the present, but be in the future. 365 Ally actually allows restaurants to reserve, for customers to make reservations or, to be able to set things up, or services like your nail salon or your beauty salon. Well, we already know that a lot of barbershops, believe me, Black barbershops mostly don't have reservations. But they can use reservations because we're entering a world where my time is as valuable as the service. And so that's how you have to convince them that it's important for them in the 21st century, not to act like the 20th century.
Mm-hmm. But you know what? Let's talk about this cash option. Let's talk about cash. Moving to Ohio, I don't know what it is, but these small businesses are not playing. They only take cash. I got my makeup done the other day. She said cash only. I got my hair done, a new place. She said cash only. I went and got the dog groomed the other day. Cash only. And they're saying because of the new tax laws, IRS tracking Zelle, tracking Cash App, tracking. And so I think we're going to come up across, and as a consumer, if you want that service, you got to be ready with cash. So talk about that a little bit, Lawrence. I had to change my mindset because first I was getting a little attitude, but I said, hey, if I want the service, I got to do what they're asking me to do.
What's interesting is that if you go to, let's say, for example, you go to Africa and you go to Ghana and Nigeria, if you go to a local vendor, you're not paying cash. You're paying through a cash app that is easy for them because they're unbanked and they're able to just instantly get their digital currency. So a lot of times what happens is that we own a lot of cash-based businesses that are beauty salon, nail salons, and things like that, which, by the way, during the pandemic hurt us because a lot of those cash app businesses weren't able to get PPP loans due to the fact that they couldn't report their earnings. And so when a catastrophe occurred, they couldn't qualify. But so it's a short-term thought process of taking cash with, honestly, I'm questioning why I carry a wallet. I only carry a wallet really for my own ID, but I can put all my credit cards on Apple Wallet. And so this is the kind of where we need to say, and we need to kind of bridge our own gap of knowledge. You know, there are external things that we already know that when we talk about racism, systemic racism, and how we're underfinanced as businesses that hurt all of us. Doesn't matter their educational level. But there are certain things that we can take as tools to say, my customer wants to use Cash App or Venmo. I must use my customer's preferred versus my own. And that's the way, you know, in terms of making sure that your business thrives in the 21st century versus being left behind.
And you know what, Lawrence?
Because where are they going to put that cash? Where are they going? How are you going to do anything? How are you going to purchase property? How are you going to do anything with that? But I understand it from their short-term perspective, but not the long-term. Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, to add to that, they have to understand how this generation, they don't carry cash at all. This is a true story. It's probably a couple of years ago. My son and my daughter and some of their friends, they all traveled out of state to go to a friend's wedding and came to the toll booth. And my husband and I, we just cracked up. They could not come up with the money to pay the toll between the six of them because they had no cash. It was like, it couldn't have been but $2-3. They didn't have $2-3 among the 5 or 6 of them. So I promise you, that generation, they do not carry cash.
My son will accept cash, but he does not carry cash, you know.
Yeah, this is real. This is real. What are some other ways that it's important for businesses to step up so that they're prepared for the 21st century?
The first thing is to always pay attention to what the big companies are actually doing and seeing how you can make it toward affect you in terms of what you're doing. I like to say that basically use the research that they're spending their millions on, and then take that research, interpret it, and then use it for your own business. So figure out if Amazon is doing something or Etsy is doing something, use that with how you're looking to set your business up, and also stay ahead of your industry. Be able to, the last thing I guess I would say is that, from this would be, I don't know all of y'all, but I grew up in Inglewood, California, which pretty much, to let me be honest about it, it's pretty segregated, within Los Angeles. Find out how you can also reach dollars that are outside your normal area, because there are people who are willing to purchase from you. And that's what I'm really trying to do with 365ally.com, is to bring folks outside of our communities to be able to purchase. Mm-hmm. Redlining does other things other than keep housing aside. It keeps businesses isolated from other places, which would be inside, be spending their money. But think about how you can reach people outside of our communities. Usually soul food restaurants do a wonderful job. That's the reason why you go to a soul food restaurant. You get a Red Rooster or a Sylvia's in New York, and you'll see white folks everywhere. Yeah, because they're coming
Lawrence,
from outside.
You can't get it, but you can't order it from DoorDash, because you can't go on DoorDash and have DoorDash bring you the best soul food in town. Like, it's hard to even find them on DoorDash. It's hard to find our people on Etsy, on Amazon.
It's amazing because a lot of our stores, a lot of times we have some Black businesses are really forward thinking, and they're like, I'm going to be at the head of the tip of the spear, and I'm going to be right there. Then there are some that are just slow to think of the benefit of expanding it out. And that's good. Again, those are the things which make consumers make other decisions. And if you start making a decision, then like Chris was talking about, Chris made an intentional decision to be able to go to her dentist. When you make that decision, that is a customer that you want to keep. You want to keep that consumer. But there are other ways when people think about it, they also think about, well, I could do that. But if you're not extending yourself, then there's also, I could actually make something more convenient. And that other person may be very more convenient and then beat you on price. And then you've lost your customer.
We're going to come back. We want to entice those of you that have even been thinking about being in business. This is an opportunity to reach your client that can help make a difference for those of you that want to be a part of what we talked about, leaving the corporation and working for yourself. Thanks for listening in. We'll be right back with our guest, Lawrence Ross. Back. We thank you for hanging with us on Motivated Monday. We are talking about being intentional with our economic diversity. And I love the quote that you have across the top of the website, 365ally.com. Deconstruct inequality one purchase at a time. And so how does a business get to your website, and how are you driving traffic to the website so that it's not just the Black community, or it's not just businesses buying from each other's businesses, but bringing folks to the website, or even companies? These businesses can sell not just to individuals, but to companies that are looking to support Black business as well.
Fantastic question. One of the things that I'm doing with 365ally.com is as you mentioned earlier, I'm probably one of the If I'm not in the top 5, I'm close. One of the top 5 lecturers, college lecturers in the country. So I've been to close to 1,000 different universities around the country. So I work with a lot of universities and a lot of organizations, particularly fraternities and sororities, that are looking for specific diversity, equity, and inclusion type of efforts for their members. And so right now what I'm doing is I'm working with various organizations to get them to spend money intentionally on vendors on 365ally.com. I'm at the beginning stage when I was, well, let me give you a little backstory. When I was in grad school, I was an African-American consumer trends expert. And I worked with various corporations from the Mars Company to McDonald's. And as a result, one of the things I'm working with, and I'm talking to a number of different brands, is about having them sponsor gift certificates for people to be able to spend on the actual site. One of the things that you notice with a lot of times with brands is that you'll see commercials with like 1 or 2 different Black businesses that they spotlight, which is fantastic. And they'll spotlight them, but that really creates kind of like one winner and a bunch of people that you never, at brands of businesses that you never hear from. My thought process is that I want thousands of businesses to be able to be spent, for consumers to spend at thousands of businesses instead of just 1 or 2 that we spotlight and we say, oh, that's a fantastic business. So I'm building it over a process, and all you have to do is very, very simple. All you have to do is just go to the site, register. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you can place an unlimited amount of goods on the site as you for your business. It's one of those things that I tell people, when you build a site like this, it takes time to curate. Imagine starting a town, let's say in Oklahoma, like back in the olden days, where you start a town, and at some point you have a storefront, and then you build a house, and then the house has a consumer who needs goods from a grocery store, and that grocery store gets built, and then now we need a tailor, and you build it over a period of time. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to find every place. I found one curious thing. The place where there's the biggest jump in African-American spending is in a place I never thought, North Dakota. I had no idea. Now that may be 1 to 3 people, but it's the biggest jump. And so there are black folks everywhere with businesses. And I am the biggest proponent of side hustlers, meaning that if you have this one thing that you do that everybody in your family says is fantastic, use that and sell that. It's important for you to do that. You honestly don't have to leave the corporation first. You can have that as your side hustle that you sell on 365ally.com. And you don't have to, as my grandfather once said, he's from Texas, he used to say, folks, is fixing and finning. You don't have to fix it to do it and finning to do it. You can just go out there and do it. And so that's what the whole point is, to empower you. And for folks who are coming in, every dollar spent does deconstruct, racism racism. It empowers people to spend money on their children, for their own economic, whatever you want to do, but it empowers them in terms of economic.
Lawrence, I have a question. Today, I was interacting with someone specifically who was talking about Black business and exposing us to other Black consumers. And just from the conversation, because it was a digital conversation, I was wondering if they really were Black, or if it was some large company that was doing the exact same thing with women, the exact same thing with Blacks, exact same thing here and there. How do you tell sometimes you can tell, but how do you tell if it's really a Black business? There are a lot of places to spend our dollars that aren't really Black owned.
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, here's the way you can tell. You can't actually, people self-identify, so you can't go and say, you're not a Black business. But you can actually, when people actually recognize it, say, for example, a person is actually using the goods or recognize it, they will review it and they will come back, because it's a consumer, it's a community type of review system also. They will review and they will let us know. And if it's not a Black-owned business, well, basically, it's basically a fraudulent business. Because you can be on 365 Ally as an ally. You can actually be a white business and you say, I'm an ally. It's okay. Black, Latinx, Asian Americans, we shop at white businesses every single day. I don't think my local grocery store is Black-owned corporation. It's not. But if you actually portray yourself to be a member of a different minority, and you're not, it's going to reflect as a minority, as a fraudulent business, and we'll just take it off the site.
Okay. I appreciate that. This was a conversation, and sometimes when you're talking to somebody through text or whatever, you don't actually know. So Lawrence, tell them again how to reach you. 365ally.com. Any other contact information you want to give to our radio listeners?
Yes, if you have any questions, you can contact me at my email address, lross, ROSS, at 365ally.com. I'll be happy to talk to all of you. I will get you through registration. I'll help you get all your components done. Believe me, it's very simple. And even if it appears complicated, I'll walk you through.
I love it. You said, again, lross at 365ally.com. And how about we all think of, I mean, just today after the show, we send 10 of our, 5, 10 people that we know that are Black-owned businesses, and we really work to get this as a resource. I am so excited about being able to go and look for resources all over the country. Girlfriends, before we come to a close, we got a couple minutes. Anything else you want to add to the conversation before we go?
I just want to say, Ross, thank you, Lawrence, thank you so much for bringing this to the forefront. This is such a powerful, so needed conversation, and I'm excited to continue to support Black businesses as often as I can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just important, you guys, to keep that money in our community as best as possible, making a conscientious decision that as we celebrate this season, as we're out there buying, think about who we're buying from, who is that going to help, make your bottom line matter. Your bottom line is helping somebody else's bottom line. It is a thought process. So let's do that. Thank you, Lawrence. Thank you.
Angela Dickens is going to reach out. I know we have many of our tribe members that have businesses that want to put them on here. There's a section for arts and crafts, for clothing, for jewelry and accessories, for personal care and wellness, for home decor, for foods and drinks, sports, books, all of the above. I'm excited about it. I mean, small ticket items all the way up to, I see the shawl that I'm peeping, that's $579. So get your stuff on this site. Get your goods and services. Lawrence, you are such a wealth of knowledge and resource. We appreciate you. We can't wait to hear. How do we know the next campus you're lecturing on? How do people know where they can hear and be in conversation with you?
So you can always check my website, The Lawrence Ross. Now, I didn't just put The Lawrence Ross like I'm something special. Somebody took my name. So it's TheLawrenceRoss.com. I lecture on campus racism regularly. So if I'll be at Cornell University in February, and I'll be at Seton Hall. So I will be happy to, if you see me, or if you see any, if you come to my lecture, feel free to come up. I appreciate you.
Yes, we're having you come back. We're having you come back again for another great show, another topic. We appreciate you, Lawrence. Thank you so much. Y'all can go to 365ally.com and check out the Black businesses. Spend your money there and contact Lawrence Ross to get your business featured on there. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, it won't be bah humbug. We're going to be talking about holiday decor when you're in the mood and out of the mood with Sabrina Goodwin Monday. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.